Some strange news reaches Adolf Hitler sometime in the second week of May 1943. A dead British officer carrying secret documents has been recovered from the Sea of Spain. These documents carry details of upcoming Allied invasion of Greece and Sardinia and of a decoy invasion to take place in Sicily. Hitler is skeptical. He wonders if it is a hoax. But on May 11th, his star intelligence officer assesses the information as genuine. Of course, we know that this is a British disinformation operation. Sicily is, in fact, the real target. Now, it all rests on the Führer. What will he command? His word will decide the outcome of Operation Mincemeat. This is Spies and Ties, a sub-series of World War II in real time, and I am Astrid Deinhard. Hello, darlings. Glad to be back. Today, we're picking up the story of Operation Mincemeat you have been waiting for, right? That's the British mission to convince the Germans that the next Allied targets are Greece and Sardinia, and that the real landing plan for Sicily is nothing more than a feint, which was of highest importance to be covered up. Key to that mission is the body of a British Royal Marine officer named William Martin. But we have seen that this gentleman started off as someone else entirely. Under the command of MI5 man Charles Cholmondely and Naval Intelligence Officer Ewen Montagu, the body of a homeless man named Glyndwr Michael was magically transformed into William Martin, Major William Martin, officer in the British Navy. If you're scratching your head right now, I recommend you go back and watch my previous episode, number 1, about Operation Mincemeat. Okay, Martin was carried from Britain by submarine and set adrift off the coast of Huelva on the morning of April 30th. The deceptive documents packed into his briefcase and in his suit. He was recovered by a Spanish fisherman. Now, we rejoin the action the next morning, May 1st, as Major Martin awaits his autopsy. British Vice Consul in Huelva, Francis Hazelton, is invited in to oversee proceedings by a Spanish naval judge, Lieutenant Pascual de Mobil Pensuasan. Okay, first, Del Pobil goes through Martin's pockets and his briefcase. So, the letters are quite literally now in Spanish hands. In theory, they should be passed up the chain of command and then returned to the British, and somewhere in this process, the Germans should get a look in. Almost immediately, though, there's a snag. Del Pobil offers to hand the letters over straight away. He says this will be much easier for everyone involved. Hazelton stares at him with his best poker face. I'm sure his heart is racing. Oh my God. Think about it. Why would Del Pobil refuse? He gives the letter back quickly and can leave the stinking shed and get some lunch, right? He adopts a tone of concern and says something along the lines of, well, I wouldn't want you to get in trouble. You should follow the official route. Deliver the case to your superior. So, staring back, Del Pobil packs the briefcase up with the idea card, wallet, and pocket litter and agrees that they will be handed over to the naval commander at the port of Huelva. Next up is the autopsy. Hazelton stays to watch. Poor guy. Britain's leading pathologist had been consulted on the plan. Do you remember that he rather arrogantly said that there was nothing to worry about from a Spanish autopsy? That was important because Glyndwr had died of phosphorus poisoning, as you may remember, not drowning. Now, he might have to eat his words. For whatever reason, the Spanish have rolled out a big gun for this. Dr. Eduardo Fernandez del Torno is the senior pathologist for whoever. He's got over 20 years experience. His expertise? Bomber drownings. Okay. The inside of Glyndwr's body is in a pretty advanced stage of decomposition. It's so filled with fluid that Heselden will later describe a minor explosion upon Fernandez making his first incision. Heselden has got to stop this pronto. Fernandez might just spot the hole in this plan. He's on friendly terms with Fernandez, so he suggests that because the heat has so damaged the body, there's little point carrying out a detailed autopsy, right? The British are happy to accept drowning as the cause of death. Quick thinking. Fernandez has missed the decoloration of the skin from phosphorus poisoning. But what he has noticed is that the dead man doesn't quite match the ID photo. Fortunately for Heselden, Senior Fernandez is keen to get away from the bloated, stinking corpse. So he sets these niggles aside and gives a final verdict on death by drowning. With that, Glyndwr Michael's service to his country is finished. But who was he before he became Major Martin, huh? So, let's look at that. Well, like I said, his body was obtained at the end of January the 28th, to be precise. His death was recorded as suicide by ingesting phosphorus. I don't know why. He was just 34. His life ended in London, but began in Aberbarget in South Wales in January 1909. His mother was illiterate, and his father worked in the mines. They struggled to keep a roof over their heads. During Glyndwr's childhood, the family moved once, twice, several times across South Wales. His father's health was poor. Not only did he have untreated syphilis, but mining caused his lungs to waste away. He died in March 25 of pneumonia. Glyndwr, his mother, and his 3 younger siblings received help from charity, of course, and moved into a tiny flat in Treelaw near Tony Pandy. South Wales was hit hard during the Great Depression, and Glyndwr managed to find nothing more than part-time work as a gardener and labourer. He wasn't called up in 1939. Hardly surprising, he was mentally and physically totally unfit. Further tragedy came in January 1940. Glyndwr's brother and sister had already moved away, and in January his mother died. His last source of support was gone. After her death, Glyndwr vanished. He wasn't until winter 1942 that he turned up sleeping in a lodging house in West London. He may have been undergoing some form of treatment in an asylum. Nobody knows, and that is the last we know of him until he died and entered service as his alter ego, Major Martin. We thank you for your service. But back to Spain, where the wheels of the conspiracy are set in motion. At 8:30 in the evening, Heselden sends a message notifying the British Embassy in Madrid of the dead officer and of arrangements for a funeral and whoever. He explains that the Spanish Navy has taken possession of all of Major Martin's papers. This message is purely to get the Abwehr on the scent. All the lines into and out of Madrid embassy are, of course, bugged. Actually, the Abwehr already know. It's no surprise that they've been tipped off. The regional Abwehr chief has a good chunk of the town in his pay. His name is Adolf Klaus. He and his men keep watch on British merchant shipping and spot targets for U-boats. In Ewen Montagu's words, the man is a super spy. But Klaus is having trouble persuading the Spanish Navy to hand over the documents. The Spanish Navy is mostly pro-British and Klaus has little influence with them. His requests are met with polite refusal. No. Back in London, Cholmondely and Montagu are frustrated by this lack of progress. So, what do they decide? So they decide to impress upon the Germans just how very important those papers are, right? On May 4th, they sent another unequipped cable for their audience in the Abwehr. This goes to British Naval Attaché in Madrid, Captain Alan Hilgard. Get those papers back now, as soon as possible, is the gist of it. Hilgard also starts spreading word of the lost briefcase among his acquaintances in Madrid. With any luck, this will filter through to the Germans. On May 5th, the Spanish Navy transfers the papers to Cadiz in preparation for forwarding to Madrid. So, Klaus tries his luck there. He mobilizes his connections in the Spanish gendarmerie, the Guardia Civil, to make inquiries. Again, they're rebuffed. Meanwhile, Cholmondely and Montagu send more messages to Hilgard in Madrid. Secret papers, probably in a black briefcase. Care should be taken it does not get in undesirable hands. They write on May the 7th. No luck. That same day, the papers are transferred to Madrid and are given over to Admiral Moreno, Minister of the Navy. Adolf Klaus has failed. Now it's the job for the Abwehr in Madrid. Okay, let's see how that goes. That would be Major Karl-Erich Kühlenthal. He's known as Don Pablo in the capital's bars. If anyone can get these letters, it's him. MI5 rate him as efficient and extremely dangerous. Kühlenthal decides to outflank the Navy. He turns to Colonel José López Barón Cerruti. He is Secretary General of the Dirección General de Seguridad, or DGS, Spanish Secret Police. He is about to pro-German as it's possible. He fought on the Eastern Front with the Blue Division, and his DSG keeps record of all of Spain's Jews. There you have it. Together, Kühlenthal and the colonel convince the pro-German Minister of War to force the Ministry of the Navy to share the documents. Some say it was the intervention of Franco which swung it. We can't know for sure, but on May the 8th, the Spanish gracefully hand over the letters. First, they have to crack them open. I say crack, but actually they gently extract the letters without breaking the wax seal. The gum, which holds the envelopes closed, has dissolved in the seawater, of course. This means that one of the flaps can be gently bent open, giving access to the letter inside. Then a long metal probe with a hook on the end is slipped into the letter. By careful winding, the damp paper can be curled up around the probe into a cylinder. It's then slipped out and through the gap in the envelope. Finally, the letters are dried under a lamp and examined. Later that day, the Spanish hand the letters over to the German embassy. Kühlenthal and his boss Leisner are told, "You have exactly 1 hour to do whatever you want with them. We want them back then." Immediately, the letters are read and photocopied. The originals are given back to the Spanish, who carefully reinsert them into their envelopes and soak them in salt water. This leaves almost no trace of their opening. The Spanish will give the originals back to the British on May the 11th. Leisner's skeptical. He thinks it's strange that the letters contain both the code names for the Operation Husky and the intended target. Isn't that an obvious security risk? But Kühlenthal is convinced of their authenticity. He's already been summoned to Berlin and he takes the copies with him on May the 9th. So, hold on. Aren't things at Abwehr HQ a bit strange? Kühlenthal has just overruled the concerns of Leisner, who is his boss. It's all down to internal politics. Kühlenthal's a cuckoo in the nest. He has so impressed his seniors, including Admiral Canaris, that he's pushed Leisner aside to be little more than a figurehead. Kühlenthal is also a quarter Jewish and highly insecure about this. Perhaps he's even part of Canaris' anti-Nazi conspiracy, right? The Admiral had him Aryanized, and Kühlenthal always seeks to impress his bosses with big scoops. In fact, he sometimes inserts fake, sensational details into his own intelligence. This is all great for the Allies, right? If Leisner had gone to Berlin, he might have shared his doubts. Kühlenthal presents the documents as facts. From the Abwehr, the letters go to the Oberkommando des Heeres OKH, German Army High Command. The job of evaluating the information goes to Fremde Heere West, Foreign Armies West, or FHW. They produce intelligence reports about the Western Allies for Hitler, OKW, and field commanders. Head of FHW is Colonel Alexis Baron von Rönne. He's a favorite of Hitler. He pleased the Führer by correctly predicting that the French Maginot Line could be breached in 1940. He loves him. Now, he can make or break the entire scheme. Von Rönne and his team evaluate the letters. They draw on their assessment of British and American troop movements in North Africa. They read and reread statements given by the Spanish. He writes up his final report on May the 11th. He swallows the ploy completely. Large-scale amphibious assaults are planned for the Peloponnese in Greece and for Sardinia, and Sicily is nothing more than a hoax. Actually, von Rönne hasn't been completely duped. He knows that this could be a ruse, but he signs it off anyway. Why? I hear you ask. Well, he's a Baltic German from an aristocratic Christian family, and he hates the upstart Nazi thugs. There we have it. Since witnessing the work of the SS in Poland, he's resolved to do his bit to fight back. His goals aren't entirely clear. He wants to get rid of the Nazis, but he also hates Bolshevism. What he does is deliberately inflate the size of the Western Allies' armies in his reports. Perhaps in this way he believes he can push the Nazi government towards a separate peace with the West while allowing the war against the Soviet Union to continue. Who knows? His endorsement of mincemeat is crucial. Like I said in the beginning, Hitler is skeptical, but he reads von Rönne's report and by May 12th, he's bought into the conspiracy. If von Rönne believes it, it must be true. Hitler issues a military directive. Defensive measuring regarding Sardinia and the Greek Peloponnese are to take precedence over everything else. About the same time, the men and women in room number 13 of the Admiralty basement learn of their success. On May the 12th, Montagu searches through the decrypted material sent over from Bletchley Park, right? Nestled among the documents is a message from General Alfred Jodl, OKW, Chief of Operations, the man responsible for German war planning. It is instructions to begin putting Hitler's defensive measures in place. Jodl states that his decision is based on information that is absolutely reliable. With this news, there's celebration in room 13. Quickly, a telegram is dispatched to Churchill, who is in Washington, D.C. for a Trident conference. I'm sure that puts him in a very good mood. In Germany, some within FHW raised doubts over the next few days, but von Rönne brushes them aside. FHW questioned Kühnthal again, but he refuses to consider that his intelligence might be wrong. Anyway, Hitler believes it, and that's all that matters, really. Perhaps the reason why mincemeat takes hold so successfully is that the German High Command wanted to be true. They've just suffered defeat in North Africa. Now they see a chance to strike back and push the Allies into the sea. Throughout May and June, the British mount deceptions to reinforce the conspiracy. Mincemeat runs along a much bigger operation codenamed Barclay. Look it up. Men carry out diversionary reconnaissance missions on Sardinia and the Greek island of Zante. SOE step up operations with the Greek resistance. Operation Waterfall, great operation by the way, uses dummy tanks and planes to hint at an army en route for the Balkans. The Axis shift forces to Sardinia and Greece to prepare to fight invasions that are never coming. The troop count in Sardinia will be doubled to almost 10,000. The number of German divisions in Greece will grow from 1 to 8 by July. But is Sicily then completely defenseless? Well, you'll have to watch Indy's upcoming episode to find out. But we can already say this much. A daring ruse based on a plan so complicated it could have fallen apart at any time has succeeded. It might not be the only thing that paves the way for Allied success, but for certain, the lonely death of the sad character Glyndwr Michael has made him immortal as the man who will have saved countless British and American lives by removing their enemy to a place where they are not going. And until this day, we will be fascinated and thrilled at the idea of a dead homeless man fooling the Nazis and putting egg on Hitler's face. Well done. If you would like to hear more about what was going on in Spain in Between the Wars, check out our Between Two Wars episode on the Spanish Civil War. I'll put it in the links. To become a part of our efforts to expose how foolish Nazism and other evils are, join the Time Ghost Army at timeghost.tv or patreon.com. And I will see you next time, darlings.